Hey everybody, my name is Natalie Duncan-Emmons. I wanted to thank you for listening to this episode of The Morning Show. I'm the creator, the producer, and the host of the show. We want you to check out our website. It's themorningshowwithnatalie.com. You can go to that website. You can see all about our sponsors, all about the show. You can even listen to live episodes while they're going on right there from the website. Another way to listen to the show live is go to Live 365. You can download that app and just search for The Morning Show. It's right there. Super easy. We want you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you will. That way you can keep up with what's going on the morning show. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. My name is Natalie Duncan-Emmons. You are listening to The Morning Show. It's always special. It's always an honor to speak or to even think anything Hinson here on The Morning Show. And this week we've just about had a spell getting to do that every single day, highlighting the latest album from our new friends. They are legends. They are heroes of gospel music, and they are carrying on a legacy among legacies. And they're here with us today. Well, at least one of them is. And I'm delighted to welcome Weston Hinson to the morning show. Good morning, Weston.
Good morning, Natalie. How are you today?
Well, we are excited. This has been a fun week listening to this album. You guys knocked it out of the park.
Oh, thank you. We had a blast with this album. It took us a while to get it out to the public, but we did a lot of heartfelt singing, heartfelt producing, and writing for this album, and we just love how it all turned out. And so far, everybody that's heard it has said the same thing. That it was the best we've done.
And I can't wait to jump in and talk about this album, but I just want to say a few personal things before we begin. And I've had some surreal moments on the show. We've been going about 15 months now. There have been some pretty special moments in 15 months. But to be sitting here talking to Weston Hinson, Kenny Hinson's son, well, that's about one of the most surreal moments that I've had, I guess. You're a pretty big deal, Weston.
Oh, you're too kind. And it's an honor to be talking to you.
I've been anticipating this ever since I met you. And I do want to briefly, and I'm going to hush in a minute and let Weston talk, I promise. But I briefly want to just tell our listeners about getting to officially meet you for the first time. Now, I have heard you in concert and just been out in the audience before, but I officially met you on Friday, March the 31st at what we called a night to remember at Salem Baptist Church. And I will never forget it as long as I live. I may not remember every detail of that night forever, but I won't ever forget the moment that you walked in that door. It was almost time to start, and I was making my final trip to the foyer. I believe it was to get my daddy. He's the pastor. I think I was walking back there to tell him it was time to start. And that front door opened, and your wife, Christy, walked in. And when I looked at her, I was about 99% sure I knew who she was, but I was waiting for you. And for those of you who have never met Weston Hinson in person, you don't mistake him for anybody else. I mean, when you see Weston, you know that's who that is. So I thought I knew her, but I was waiting to see you. And when you walked in right behind her, I could not find the air to breathe. Weston, I had put so much into that event that night. And in my heart, I wanted to honor Ronnie Hinson. I wanted to honor everything Hinson. I wanted to honor the legacy of the Hinsons. And to see you and Christy walk in unexpectedly at that night, my first thought in my mind was, this is the truth. I thought, God, why would you do that for us? Why would you send these people to make this night so special? And the only person that I could think that loved Kenny Hinson any more than me was my sister. And I just started saying, where's Nicole? Where's Nicole? This is Kenny's son. Come over here. This is Kenny's son. It was, out of all the things that happened that night, and there were a lot of good moments. My son got to get up and sing with you guys. That was incredibly special. But of all of it, the most special moment of the night to me was when I saw you walk in that building, you and Christy. That was the ultimate moment of all of it. And I probably won't ever get over that. It was so special for you to be there.
It was an honor to be there, first of all. My uncle Ronnie had been at our house the night or two before, And Christy and Lisa, they were both hairdressers at one time in their life, and so Lisa had asked Christy, "Can you pull my hair through and help me get my hair all, how the ladies like their hair fresh and done right before an event or something." And so they were talking about it, and Uncle Ronnie talked about how that you guys were going to do that, and Christy and I we didn't tell them we were coming.
Mhm.
And we had kind of played it down like, well, we've got a lot going on, but we're praying for you guys to have a great event. But we were only going to be like an hour and a half away the next night. So we rerouted our route, for redundancy's sake there. We came another way to come to our event, and came down a night early. And so we were like, hey, let's go down and support family. And we came in, and the place was packed. The energy was high. The Browders and Uncle Ronnie and Southbound did a great job, and Tate knocked it out of the park. And as I said that night when he got up and did Hallelujah Meeting, man, I'm glad I didn't have to follow that. He brought the house down.
Well, we're still not over it. He had the time of his life. He was so excited about getting to sing that song with Ronnie Hinson on stage. And then when you guys were up there as well, it was about more than we could take, to be honest with you. It was outstanding. The whole night was. And I'm so glad that you were there to share that with us. We really were. We're going to come right back, Weston. I've talked way too much. I have really talked too much. What I want to do is just play the opening song off of the album. And when we come back, we're going straight into the album. I don't want anybody to go anywhere, because when we come back, Weston's going to do most of the talking, I promise. But here is a song on the album. It's the first one, and it may just be my favorite one on the entire thing. There's so many good ones, it's hard to pick a favorite. But I absolutely love number one. It's called Staying With Him. We're going to play this, and when we come back, we're going to let Weston tell us all about this album. Don't go anywhere.
I've been tempted to run and give up the fight, head for what's wrong while forsaking what's right. But then I recall all the victories behind. He delivered me when there was no way to win. So I've made up my mind, and I'm staying with him, 'cause he's standing with me. And wherever he is, that's right where I'll be. Yeah, he'll never give up. More than enough, so I'm staying with him. Old Job had a wife. She said, don't even try. God messed up your life. And she said, just curse him and die. But old Job wouldn't quit. Though he had been crushed, from the ashes that they heard him shout out these words, and God I still trust, and I'm staying with him, 'cause he's standing with me, and wherever he is, that's right where I'll be. More than enough, so I'm staying with him. Yeah, this battle gets rough, but God's more than enough, so I'm staying with him. Oh, I'm staying.
All right, Weston, we're going to get focused on this album. I want to ask you this before we go any further. This is just personal. Do you ever get tired of the conversation always going to Kenny Henson's son? Does that ever, or is that just always an honor to you? Or do you ever wish people would just focus more on what's happening today? Or are you okay with us just looking back and enjoying that hero and that legacy? Because I'm sure people do that all the time.
Well, if my goal was to be just like my dad, that would be something. If it was to duplicate Kenny Henson, let's say it like this: if it was to duplicate him, then it would be something that would be cumbersome to me. But there was never designed. God did not design there to be more than one of you or me or Kenny Henson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When he broke the mold, when he made Kenny Henson or Weston Hinson or any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take elements of people that inspire us. And my dad was a huge inspiration to me.
Yeah.
As you can tell, the DNA is there. And
Yes.
I will always say that my dad is my biggest influence. And every little boy ought to aspire to want to be like his daddy. And there are so many more ways that I would rather be like my dad than just the voice. The way he was kind, the way he was funny, the way he knew how to just bring energy when he walked into a room. That's who he was. And he didn't have to fake it. That was not just a persona he put on. That's who he was. And so, but it does not get old to me at all to be compared to him because he's my hero. But if it was, like I said, if it was something that I was trying to duplicate and replace, then it might become something that was like, but it is not anything that can be replaced. It's just I have always learned to embrace that people are trying to compliment and trying to say, man, I loved your dad. And that's, they're saying something nice. And you always want to embrace that with people.
Absolutely. And it's an ultimate compliment when somebody mentions Kenny Henson in any way referring to you. Absolutely. And I'm a little envious. You talk about was so much more than the voice. The majority of us only got to experience the voice. And it was enough for us. I mean, just to experience the voice, but you and your family saw so much more than any of us would ever see. And we're a little envious of that.
Oh man, he was so funny and sometimes quirky. I've got all kinds of pictures of him trying to figure out little baby dolls and trying to put batteries in funny spots on baby dolls, or trying to teach me how to play harmonica, or trying to just faces he would make when he couldn't figure something out that just make you laugh, because that's just who he was. That was Kenny Henson.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one more thing and then we're going to move on. But Weston, to hear your voice, to hear you on stage, even to look at your face, it reconnects us just a little bit with Kenny. And we're appreciative of that. And I'm glad that you share your voice and your face and everything about you, that you share that with us, because it makes us just feel like we're a little bit with Kenny again. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We're moving on. We're moving on to this album right here. I want to talk about all of these songs. I'm looking at the album. I've got it in my hand, and I see your name and I see Christy's name all over this as writers. I had no idea until I looked at this that you guys are amazing songwriters. How long have you been writing? This didn't just start, did it?
Well, for Christy, she's been writing. She is the main songwriter. She is, by and large, who I lean on to say, does this make sense? What do I do? I'm kind of new in the game, if you will, for writing, and I lean on her very heavily to understand the game of writing, if you will. I hesitate to call it a game, but for time's sake, that's what we'll call it right now. But the art, let's call it that. The art of writing a song is something that I always tried to overthink. And she said, just keep it simple. You're trying to relay a message to people, and you don't want to overthink it and try to overcomplicate it. You just deliver it straight to them. Yeah. And she's taught me that. She is one of the most incredible singers and songwriters, I think, out there, and probably one of the most unsung songwriters that are out there. But I think that her time is coming, that she'll receive recognition for it, I believe, very, very soon.
She doesn't receive near enough recognition, not only for her writing, but for her singing as well. She makes me want to sing. To see her on stage or to put this album on or any album. Look, I've been listening to you guys on album for a long, long time. The album that you did to honor the Hinsons, where you did the old classics. I play that on the morning show all the time. I play those songs. She's one of the best female vocalists that we have to offer, especially on an album. She's phenomenal. And I said this to you and her both this week because I have come to count you as friends since we met the other night. You two make about the best team. You two make about the best team I've ever seen. About like peanut butter and jelly. You go together perfectly. I mean, just perfectly. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, she's my rock. I like to think of it like this. And this comparison is not to be in any way derogatory towards. Well, this is what I say. I say she's the string that holds me, keeps me from flying away. I'm kind of the kite in a windstorm. I'm a dreamer. She's like, if we say let's look at something, if we say let's look at houses or something to buy or whatever, I'm looking at $5 million houses. Right. I'm like, man, look at what we could have. And she's like, whoa.
What can we afford?
What can we afford? She keeps me grounded. She doesn't keep me from dreaming, but she's like, let's keep things and let's strive towards what you dream. Yeah. But she's also one that encourages me to and tells me you've got the talent that you can do anything and everything. And she's honest with me too. And that's what I'll take a compliment from her because I know it's genuine from her. It's not just fluff from her. And that's what I love about her is she's talented, she's real, she's honest and genuine.
Yeah. And the connection between you two, that didn't just start recently. It goes back decades. I read that the family groups, like her family group, your family group, they sang together decades ago, right?
They did. My dad actually, I believe it was in the mid 70s, like 76, 77, somewhere in there, produced an album for them at Hilltop Recording Studios, which I work a lot at now. But back in the mid to late 70s, my dad did an album for them. They were called the Harvest Masters, and for her parents. So she knew my dad a little before I did because Christy came along a little before I did. So she's a little older than me. Mm-hmm. So that family connection was there well before, really we were even anything to really, I guess, shake a stick at.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Well, there is one on the album that I wanted to specifically play today that I'm pretty swept away with, and it's called "This Ship's Not Going Down." And she wrote that. That's an incredible song, and the vocals are killer. And it's just eat up with Hinson flavor. I mean, yeah. This is a great song. I'd like to play this Ship's Not Going Down. I've played it a time or two this week. Of course, we've been trying to get to all of these songs this week and let people hear all of them. But I've played this one a time or two. Before we play it, Weston, give us a little throw out here where people can get this CD. I don't see it on iTunes or Apple Music or anything like that. Is this something they have to order this off the website?
Yes, and that was done on purpose. We're kind of doing a little different marketing for having CDs because we know that marketing for streaming has gone way further now than CDs do because most people don't even have CD players in their car. Mm-hmm. So we were trying a little something, which we will be putting it out streaming and iTunes and all that very, very shortly. But we wanted to let the CDs live just a little before we put it out on streaming. And I know that's kind of opposite of what everybody else is doing. But it is available on our website only at the moment at thehinsonfamily.com. And you can go there and just click on our shop and it's right there.
Okay, I'm going to encourage everybody to do that. I absolutely love the album. And I'm going to encourage you just to go to the website just to look at their graphics and their pictures out there because they are amazing. The website is absolutely beautiful. So you need to go look at it, check out the pictures there, and then you need to order this album. Here's Christy Hinson singing "The Ship's Not Going Down."
The storm, it was raging, and their faith was fading as they watched the waves grow so high. Jesus was asleep below in the stern. They cried, Lord, don't you care that we'll die? Jesus stepped out and spoke to the wind, and everything calmed all around. Why didn't they know with Jesus on board, their ship was not going down? With Jesus on board, the wind may blow your way, but know your vessel is sturdy, and you can call on his name. Let the waves grow high and the thunder sound, but be rest assured, if you got Jesus on board, your ship's not going down. I remember facing my own storm raging, shame, sorrow, and strife. I felt like I was all alone, and I would surely lose my life. Then Jesus stepped in and spoke to my sin. I was lost, but now I'm found, and now I know I have Jesus on board, and my ship is not going down. With Jesus on board, the wind may blow my way, but my vessel is sturdy, 'cause I can call on his name. Let the waves grow high and the thunder sound. I can be rest assured, with Jesus on board, my ship's not going down. With Jesus on board, the wind may blow your way, but know your vessel is sturdy, 'cause you can call on his name. Let the waves grow high and the thunder sound, 'cause you can be rest assured, when you got Jesus on board, your ship's not going down. Yes, you can be rest assured, when you got Jesus on board, your ship's not going down. Not going down.
Okay, Weston, there's a song on here that I want to spend a little bit of time talking about, and it's the title track, Sundays Never End. I'm looking at the writers. Now, I've heard of Nathan Woodard. I know a lot of songs he's written. I've never met him. And I don't know Phil. You'll have to tell me how to pronounce his name. Phil, who's the other writer?
Marins
Okay.
and
I
Jason
don't-
Davidson. Yes.
Okay, I don't know Phil. Jason Davidson lives about 15 minutes from us. He's from Sebastopol, Mississippi, which is just a neighboring community to us. We think the world of Jason. We count him as a friend. I think he's a terrific songwriter and singer. So it caught my eye immediately to see that Jason was a writer on here. I am in love with this song. Would you just give me the background story of how the song came about and what drew you to the song? Because Christy didn't write this one. You got this one
No.
completely from somebody else. So you had to be drawn to the song just like I was. Tell me about it.
Absolutely. We had already had our songs picked out actually for this album. So we were kind of closed off when people were still pitching songs to us. And I had inadvisably went to Facebook and kind of thrown it out there. Hey, if you've written any songs, send them to us. And kind of when you do that, you're open to get a really mixed bag of songs with people that have well intentions but aren't really good at writing sometimes. And I say that with all the love in the world for people, but sometimes you just, not meant to write songs.
And not
sometimes.
everybody's a songwriter.
Right. And so, but when this person pitched us this song and said, "Hey, you got to hear this song," and we'd already written a few songs with Nathan Woodard on this project. He's got a couple of other songs on there with us that we co-wrote with him. And Nathan's a great guy and a phenomenal writer. I mean, one of the best out there. And so I was like, okay, well, I know Nathan's great, so we'll just listen to it. I didn't really anticipate really doing much with it, but I was just, because Nathan wrote it, okay, well, we'll just give him the courtesy of listening. So I listened, and I was floored. I honestly was like, holy cow, that's good.
Yeah.
And so I said, before we're closed off, we need to listen. So I sent it to Christy, and I was actually out in the car driving somewhere, and I sent it to Christy, and I said, you need to listen to this. And it was her that actually said, okay, we're putting that on the album. So she made the executive decision because, like I said before, she's the songwriter of the group. And so when she says jump on a song, we do it.
Yeah.
So,
and it ended up being the title of the album.
It's the title track. It is.
Isn't that amazing? Well, we sure want to
Yes.
play this because we're blown away with this song. I think it's very, very special. And like I said, we love Jason Davidson. So he's our friend. So here's the title track. And while we're playing it, I hope you are ordering this album. Here's the Hinson Family, Sundays Never End.
We heard the preacher preach, and we heard the choir sing. Sweet victory in Jesus and amazing grace. And we'd go to Grandma's house. She'd bring the dinner out, and she made sure we had enough to fill our plates. Then we'd bow our heads and we say grace. And we all gather at her table, trading stories, and talk about the life that we live, and celebrate the hope we have in glory, and thank the Lord for moments just like this. And then next week we do it all again. Sundays never end. I can see her at the stove, mashing taters and baking rolls, with all us little children running round. With a smile upon her face, she'd give us all a little taste and show us what it meant to love out loud. Then we'd bow our heads and we'd say grace. And we all gather at her table, trading stories, and talk about the life that we live, and celebrate the hope we have in glory, and thank the Lord for moments just like this. And then next week we do it all again, 'cause Sundays never end. We all got the news, and it always comes too soon. But ain't it just like life for that to happen? Broke my heart when Grandma left. There's so much I won't forget, and I hope she's proud and looking down from heaven as we bow our heads, oh, and we say grace. And we all gather at her table, trading stories, and talk about the life that she lived, and celebrate the hope just like this. 'Cause one day we'll be with her again, where Sundays never end. Oh, where Sundays never end.
Weston, this has been a delight to spend some time with you and to talk about this album. I wish we could play every single song on the album. Every one of them is worthy to be played. But there's one on here that just, going back to the legacy, just honors the legacy of the Hinsons. And I hope when people get this album that they'll take the time and look at the cover, because I have looked at these pictures over and over. In the CD case itself, there are pictures of your grandparents, and there's some background about your grandparents, and I'm fascinated with that. And there's a song on here called Preacher Man. Now, is this Kenny and Ronnie's dad, Cecil Hinson?
Yes, that is Cecil Hinson. That is my grandpa, and his backstory is fascinating. It is, I think it's movie worthy. He's an interesting man who had a rough upbringing, grew up during the Depression. His family made their living moonshining in Middle Tennessee. And his daddy was actually murdered. We're not sure 100%, but the accused murderer was his daddy's own brother. And he shot him in the back with a shotgun over moonshine. And they said a woman, I don't know. So, but shot him in the back with a shotgun, and my grandfather found his daddy face down in the creek bed. And so and then his mom developed tuberculosis, and then she went into a sanatorium, and he went into foster care, and just kind of went from home to home to home, and became a drifter, and got separated from all his siblings, and became a loner, and didn't need the world, and developed that attitude. And, met a woman, my grandmother, Stella, met her in Arkansas on the way to California, where the jobs were all at, and had a slew of kids, and then trying to move on and fast forward, because I know we got time. And one day he was coming home from work, and the Lord met him in his truck and came to where he was coming home from work, and no one was in his truck. And this is Uncle Ronnie tells the story much better than I can, so you'll have to go hear him tell it sometime at one of his services. But Jesus appeared to him in his truck and said, "Cecil, it's now or never." Wow. And so he pulled the truck over on the side of the road where he was at there, and gave his heart to Jesus right there on the side of the road on the way home from work, and got so radically saved that everybody around him knew something was different about him. Wow. And wasn't just the whole cutesy got saved and then nothing changed. He just prayed a prayer, It was the radically saved.
Drastic.
And became a preacher man. And that's where that song came from.
Wow. And from there, you had Ronnie Hinson and Kenny Hinson and Larry Hinson. How many kids did they have, Weston?
They had 8 children total.
8 children. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And what the Lord has done with that family. Wow. That's just amazing. It's phenomenal. Well, we're going to end out with this one called Preacher Man. I believe it's going to be the first single off of this album, right? We're going to push this one.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I think big things are going to happen with this song. It's incredible. Before we play it, Weston, let me say thank you for spending some time on the morning show. You could have been doing 1,000 things this morning, but you came on and shared some time with us, and I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we missed Christy. Tell her that we said hello, and you both have a friend here on the morning show. Don't ever forget that.
I appreciate that, and I'll let her know. And we hope to get down there with Lake with you guys sometime, and spend the night with you guys at concert.
We're going to make that happen. Okay.
Let's do it.
Appreciate your time, Weston. We're going to be pushing this song.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you.
All right. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
was radically saved, pulled from the grave the moment that God showed up. Headed home one day, totally changing that rusted old beat-up truck. And everybody knew there was something new, but they couldn't quite explain. The man who left for work that morning didn't come home the same. He became a fire-breathing, devil-chasing, soul-saving, life-speaking, heart-praying kind of a man. From Monday to Sunday, he lived the same way, wrecking all the devil's plans. And he walked the talk and he talked the truth with a Bible in his hand. Everybody knew my old grandpappy was a Rocky Top preacher man. Well, he'd preach the cross and he'd reach the lost at many a back road church. And from town to town and miles around, people come to watch God work. And everybody knew there was something new, but they couldn't quite explain. The proof was on those homemade altars where sins were washed away. He was a fire-breathing, devil-chasing, soul-saving, life-speaking, heart-praying kind of a man. From Monday to Sunday, he lived the same way, wrecking all the devil's plans. And he walked the talk and he talked the truth with a Bible in his hand. Hey, everybody knew my old grandpappy was a Rocky Top preacher man. Chasing, soul-saving, life-speaking, heart-praying kind of a man. From Monday to Sunday, he lived the same way, wrecking all the devil's plans. And he walked the talk and he talked the truth with a Bible in his hand. Everybody knew my old grandpappy was a Rocky Top preacher man. I said everybody knew my old grandpappy was a Rocky Top preacher man.